Greatness in basketball, or in any sport at all, is defined by a player's talent, achievements, and ability to perform at the highest level of the game for a long time. But there are exceptions to this rule, in the sense that some players perform exceptionally well early on in their careers, generating enormous amounts of hype even before they become pros. I mean, we all saw the buzz that LeBron and Wembanyama generated when they got drafted. It's something we've seen time and time again in the NBA, but never in the WNBA until Caitlin Clark arrived. Her talent and presence have brought increased viewership and funding to the league. And for an association that has barely made profits since it was founded in 1996, one would think that WNBA players would love and appreciate Clark for the massive development she's brought to the league in such a short time. But the opposite is the case. So why exactly do WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark? Is it about her race, or has she done something bad that we all don't know about? Caitlin Clark is a true definition of greatness in human form. Time after time, analysts, writers, and pundits have tried to describe her greatness with words, but they always run out of adjectives, and you can understand why. Because how exactly do you describe a player who completely dominated college basketball, smashing the all-time scoring record for both the men's and women's categories, while surpassing Steph Curry's record for the most threes scored in a single season? Clark is simply too good. Words don't even do justice. And it's not just about her performance on the court. I mean, we could go on and on about her talent, and how she's primed to become the greatest player in WNBA history. But the influence she has off the court is absolutely insane. In hindsight, the last time we saw a basketball player attract this much attention was when Victor Wembanyama got drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. Back then, NBA players showered the French phenom with love as they welcomed him into the league. But in contrast, Caitlin Clark is getting harassed and put down by her peers every night. Generally, in sports, it's common for players to receive hate and criticism. Even top players are not immune from this. Despite being one of the best in the NBA, LeBron James, a couple years ago, was ranked as the most hated player in the league by fans on Twitter. Also, you have guys like Draymond Green and Russell Westbrook who often get booed by opposing fans. But Clark's case is different, given that much of the hate she's receiving is from her colleagues and legends of the WNBA. Perhaps one of the first occurrences of this is Diana Taurasi, the supposed GOAT of women's basketball, saying this about Caitlin before she even played a single game in the league.
What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
Now compare that to how LeBron James reacted to Wemby's arrival.
Catch and shoot threes, block shots. He's for sure a generational talent, and hopefully he continues to stay healthy. That's what's most important.
That's how to encourage and motivate a youngster coming into the league. But obviously, Diana Taurasi thinks otherwise, and unfortunately, she's not alone on this course. Sheryl Swoopes, another legend of the WNBA, has been in the news lately after trying to discredit Caitlin Clark's NCAA all-time scoring record.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year. Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be. That's all.
As if that wasn't enough, she went ahead and said this.
People say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Honestly, it's funny to see how Swoops was reeling out those stats with confidence when, in actual fact, everything she said was a lie. For starters, Clark is not 25 years old. She never played an extra year in college, and she only attempted 22.3 shots per game. Yet she broke the record in fewer games than Kelsey Plum. But somehow, a WNBA legend like Swoops doesn't know this because she's too jealous to cross-check the facts. The sickening thing about all of this is that the hate is beginning to spill over onto the court. Caitlin Clark is experiencing a lot more physicality than the norm, particularly from players of the Chicago Sky. One of the most apparent incidents was this unnecessary shoulder check by Kennedy Carter.
And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter, they called it away from the ball foul because it happened prior to the inbound. So then anybody can shoot the free throw.
Basketball is a contact sport, no doubt, but shoving a player when the ball isn't even live is doing too much. And to make things worse, Carter wasn't even bold enough to own up to it. Instead, she went on and on about how she's a competitor and how this foul was a heat-of-the-moment play. Well, anyone who saw that play knows it had nothing to do with the heat of the moment. The event that played out in the next game between the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky proved beyond doubt that there was more than just a little competition between Clark and some other players. The 22-year-old guard was a victim of many unnecessary fouls on the night, including this severe blow to the head from a familiar rival in Angel Reese.
Yeah, that's right.
Being reviewed for possible upgrade to a playground.
There's not one sport in the world where that play wouldn't have been flagged for a foul. Yet, Reese showed absolutely no remorse. At this point, it's becoming scary, because it seems as if Clark's opponents are actively trying to injure her. And the question to ask is, to what end? I mean, why exactly are WNBA players jealous of Caitlin Clark? When you think about it, it's difficult to pinpoint the exact reason Clark is getting bashed by her peers, but it wouldn't be out of place to say she's a victim of her greatness. Let's face it, Caitlin Clark is currently one of the biggest stars in the WNBA, and as far as the records go, she's the most influential player in women's basketball history. She's not even halfway into her season debut, yet she's already ranked as the 4th most popular active athlete in the United States, behind LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and Steph Curry. And it's thanks to her that the last women's NCAA finals averaged 18.7 million viewers. For context, that event ranks as the most watched basketball game of any kind since 2019. Similarly, the 2024 WNBA draft, where Clark emerged as the first overall pick, drew 2.45 million viewers on ESPN alone, making it the most viewed WNBA draft ever, and the most viewed WNBA event on ESPN platforms. To top that off, over 2 million people tuned in when Clark made her debut for the Indiana Fever. Interestingly, this wave of attention around Clark has rubbed off on the entire league. Teams are now having sellouts and flying charters for games. And the entire country, including top celebrities, has, for the first time, found interest in female basketball. To put this in perspective, the WNBA is averaging over 9,000 fans per game, its highest attendance record in over 2 decades. I mean, that's still a far cry from the NBA's average of over 18,000 fans per game, but it's a big win for the WNBA. One that would never have been possible without the presence of Caitlin Clark in the league. Deservedly, she's getting all the praise for it, but clearly, some WNBA players don't seem to be too happy about it, and most of them can't even hide it anymore.
People are pulling up to games, we got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game.
And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
The only thing I made of that clip, and all the hateful things that have been said and done to Clark, is that WNBA players are jealous of the attention she's getting. They're jealous that she's been compared to Steph Curry and the fact that she was offered $5 million and other incentives to join Ice Cube's Big Three basketball league. They're jealous of the fact that Clark is seen as the savior of the WNBA. Instead of supporting her, they're downplaying all her achievements. Is it really that hard to support a fellow player who's already done so much for your league? Despite the hate and toxicity that's constantly being thrown at her, Caitlin Clark has been gracious even toward her bitter peers around the league. Instead of playing the victim and complaining about the ridiculous fouls she's getting, Clark is taking it on the chin like a champ.
We saw the play in the third quarter where Carter kind of decked you. How do you respond to that and stay within yourself?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, just let them hit you. Be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head, and know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
Remarkably, Caitlin Clark maintained the same composure even when Angel Reese tried to take off her head in the name of basketball.
And then when you get flagrant foul by Angel Reese, what's going through your mind and how you just stay within yourself to finish the game?
What's going through my mind is I need to make these 2 free throws. That's all I'm thinking about. It's just a part of basketball. It is what it is. Trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. But yeah, it happens. And those free throws when you have to shoot them with nobody at the line are kind of hard. So it's a little different than having people at the line. So I was just trying to focus on making those.
That right there is how great players handle terrible situations. And it's absolutely impressive to see Clark display that level of maturity at 22, and makes you wonder how grown-ass legends who are twice her age are being so petty and bitter. But guess what? The earlier they realize their mistake and stop hating on Clark, the better for the WNBA. Because, in truth, the league needs Clark more than Clark needs the league. Without her, we probably wouldn't be talking about the WNBA right now. And if anything bad were to happen to her as a result of the hate she's getting, the WNBA would most definitely go back to being an irrelevant, insignificant league once again.